So here, I think I started in the first paragraph, okay? And we were saying that people should follow their own ideas and concepts and beliefs and things like that. So they will be able to, well, the idea that he's saying that people should trust and believe in themselves. And really that's what he said, to believe your own thought, to believe, and to believe that what is true for you and your private heart is true for all men. If you really believe something and it is absolutely true and you believe it yourself, you believe that, then it is going to be believed by other people. That's what he's saying, if you like. So he's telling us to trust ourselves, and if you really think that there's something absolutely good, and you believe it and you want it, so it must be then good. And that's really what he's saying here about tomorrow a stranger will say with masterly good sense precisely what we have thought and tell all that time, and we shall be forced to take with shame our own opinion from another. Meaning you believe the same thing, but he didn't say it. You read it in somebody else's book or in somebody else's essay or something. You say, oh, he's talking for me. I didn't say it, but this man said it. Well, that's it. Because he's saying people, don't wait for people to tell your ideas. If you have an idea, say it. And that's really what he is saying. There is a time in every man's education when he arrives at the conviction that envy is ignorance. And I think this is good. Yeah, envy is ignorance. Yeah, I think to be envious is not good. It's really bad. And he's saying, it is ignorance. Why should you envy people? Why should you envy? So here he's saying envy is ignorance, that imitation is suicide. Oh, imitation is suicide, that he must take himself for better, for worse, as his portion. That through that though the wide universe is full of good, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him but through his toil bestowed on that plot of ground which is given to him to till. Here till means really to farm and to work in your heart and work hard in your land. Really tilling means really al-harth, really al-hiratha or al-filaha. And here really means to work really, really hard in your land. If you have land, you should work in it. That's what he's saying, the idea about if you are given something, you should do it. And that's why you say, I think I will highlight this because again, it's really lovely. When you say envy is ignorance, and at the same time, imitation is suicide. Meaning, don't envy and don't imitate. Do not imitate. Or, okay, listen to people, take from people, but do it yourself. Do it yourself in your own way. That's why we say, we listen to our parents, we listen and we read books and we read etc. and we hear stories and we read things from magazines and we see stuff, we learn from school, university, etc., etc. But what about how we feel, how we, use this knowledge? And that's why he's saying imitation is suicide. Meaning if you imitate in a crazy way, in a blind way, then you are killing yourself. You should not. This is what he's saying, the idea. Really, this is the question here. He said, The power which resides in him is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which can he do, nor does he know until he has tried. Yeah, I mean, we say, if you say, oh, I can't do it. Why? Well, have you tried? Have you tried to do it? Yeah, but I don't know. I think I can't do it. Well, that's wrong to say. I can't do it. Have you tried? So you should try. He's saying here, really, this is again here the word which is an important word, to try. Try. Not for nothing, one face, one character, one fact makes much impression on him, and another none. This sculpture in the memory is not without pre-established harmony. We are saying that this, whatever you see in life is not something, comes like that out of the blue. It is there. There is harmony there. Notice, pre-established. I think the word here, if you, why it's red line. I think there's something funny about this here. Well, it should be correct. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sorry, let me see what's... So here he goes on, of course, to argue about this. The eye was placed where one ray should fall, that it might testify of that particular ray. We but half express ourselves and are ashamed of that divine idea which each of us represents. It may be safely trusted as as proportionate and of good issues, so it could be be faithfully imparted, but God will not have his work made manifest by cowards. A man is relieved and gay when he has put his heart into his work and done his best. Of course, really, this is again the idea to do what you can, to try to do your best is what he's saying here. His heart, to put your heart, again, as he said, his heart into his work and done his best. I think this is the idea. Try to do your best. And that's the important thing. Try to work hard. Try your best. And what he has said or done otherwise shall give him no peace. It is a deliverance which does not deliver. In the attempt, his genius deserts him. No muse befriends, no invention, no hope. And in the next paragraph, again, he comes back to the same idea. Trust yourself. Notice, trust thyself. Trust thyself. And I think this is a lovely idea. Yeah, we have to trust ourselves. Otherwise, you will fail. You will fail. He said, trust thyself. Trust yourself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Meaning, if you really don't have this feeling of trust, then you have a real problem. Really, that's what he's saying. Your heart, he said, every heart every human being is, if you like, living on this idea of trust. You must trust. Of course, you trust people, but mostly, he said, trust yourself. Accept the place the divine providence has found for you. Accept what God has given you. That's what he means. Providence, God. What is given to you? Accept that. Don't say I'm not intelligent, or I'm stupid, or I don't know, or somebody is more intelligent than me, and okay. But we say here, we have to accept and be happy with what we have. That's the idea. Accept and be okay with what you have. Okay? The society of you, notice, accept the place the divine providence has found for you, the society of your contemporaries, the connection of events. Yeah, I mean, you should say, well, I was born to a rich family. I was born to a poor family. I belong to a poor class, and so on. Don't say that. Do not, he said. Do not. Just accept and be happy, be okay with what you are, and you will be fine. Really, that's what he's saying. Great men have always done so. You see? Great men, he said, always felt okay and happy with what they have. You know, we say we say in Arabic, al-qana'a kunzun, al-qana'a kunzun, isn't it? Huh? Correct, boys and girls?
Yes.
Really, that's the idea. Absolutely, that's the idea. To really be happy and you know, satisfied with what is given to you, and that's what he's saying, you know. And notice, and confided themselves childlike to the genius of their age, betraying their generation that the absolutely trustworthy was seated at their heart, working through their hands, predominating in all their being. And we are now men. We are now men and must accept in the highest mind the same transcendent destiny, and not minors and invalids in a protected corner. You see? Don't ever think that you are an invalid, he said. We are not invalids. نحن لسنا معاقين. لسنا معاقين. And not minors. لسنا قصر. لسنا قاصرين. No. You know, that's what he's saying. Don't ever feel this. And I think this is a lovely, absolutely lovely thing to say. Not minors and invalids in a protected corner. Not cowards. Not cowards fleeing before a revolution, but guides, redeemers. Look at here the opposite. We are guides. Yeah, pioneers, you know, always in front. We are redeemers and benefactors, obeying the Almighty effort and advancing on chaos and the dark. Yeah, we should all work hard and believe in ourselves and to trust ourselves and to think that we are always strong, and not to be coward, and always to be you know, feeling that we can do it. We are not invalids. And he goes on saying, obeying the Almighty God, of course, the almighty effort, and advance, notice, advancing, ونتحدى, chaos and the dark. Wow. Really, this is lovely. What pretty oracles nature yields us on this text. You know, he goes on really in a lovely way. I'm reading it for you really this morning just to show you what he's talking here. In the face and behavior of children, babes, and even brutes, that divided and rebel mind, that distrust of a sentiment, because our arithmetic has computed the strength and means opposed to our purpose. These have not. Their mind being whole, their eye is as yet unconquered. And when we look in their faces, we are disconcerted. Infancy conforms to nobody. Infancy conforms to nobody. Yeah, so it's really lovely. All conform to it, so that one babe commonly makes 4 or 5 out of the adults who prattle and play to it. So God has armed youth and puberty and manhood no less with his own piquancy and charm, and made it inevitable. Made it enviable. Not inevitable. Made it enviable and gracious, and its charms claims not to be put by, if it will stand by itself. Don't think the youth has no force, because he cannot speak to you and me. Hark! In the next room, his voice is sufficiently clear and emphatic. It seems he knows how to speak to his contemporaries. Bashful or bold, then he will know how to make us seniors very unnecessary. Yeah, I mean, that's true sometimes. Don't ever think that your kids are stupid or are children. Don't ever think that young people have no minds, or they are not strong enough to know. That's not true. That's what he's saying. He's saying young people are more, if you like, in their own way. He's saying they are very forceful. They are very powerful. You should not demean them or belittle them. And that's what he's saying here, how that children or young people, or if you like, the youth, as he said here, they have all the power. Yeah, I think that's true, because we say here all the time, I think we have, and I think in all societies, people pay attention to young people because they are the future generation and they should be taken care of completely. He's giving us more and more about that. Notice he he gives more details about that, about the question about about young people, if you like, in this next paragraph. But I will move to the next one. These are the voices which we hear in solitude, but they grow faint and inaudible as we enter into the world. Society everywhere is in conspiracy against the manhood of every one of its members. Again, I think here He's exaggerating, if you like. I think he's exaggerating in a way. He is exaggerating when he's saying society everywhere is in conspiracy against the manhood of every one of its members. Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder, to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. The virtue in most request is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. It loves not realities and creators, but names and customs. I think this is the most powerful paragraph you could ever read. I think this is a really, really powerful paragraph. He's saying, you know, society, if you think about society, the whole of society, he said, it does not encourage you as an individual to be individualistic. It will not allow you. That's what he said in conspiracy. Society, he said, conspire and work, if you like, he said, works against individuality or individualism. Because society society, he's saying society wants community, wants everybody, does not want individuals on their own. Society believes in groups, whereas individuals are individuals. And that's what he said, you know, against manhood. He means here really individuality or individualism. And that's why he said society is like a company, a big company. And this big company, all the workers in this company, they work all together to secure bread for everybody, right? And that's what he's saying, company in which the members agree for the better security of his bread to each shareholder, to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. You as an individual, you don't have yourself liberty. You don't have liberty, he said, or you don't have your own culture yourself. And he said the virtue of the society is to forget your individuality. Notice, the virtue in most request is conformity. The virtue is conformity. And here conformity really at-ta'a, to obey, to accept without thinking too much. And that's why he said self-reliance is its aversion. Individuality is its enemy. Self-reliance is its enemy. Society will not make you to be self-reliant on your own. If, notice, it loves not realities and creators. Al-Mujtama, he said, will not like realities and creators. Wow. But it loves names and customs. Asma wa adat. Asma wa adat. Taqalid. Yeah, what do you think? Boys, girls, are you here? Hello? Yeah? Maybe you are all asleep? I'm not sure. Yeah. Really, this is an amazing thing. If you follow all that, it's really a strong argument here. He's saying about, you know, individuality and society and so on. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. This is a lovely, again, sentence. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. Buthaina, are you there? Buthaina, can't you speak? Yeah, and can anybody translate to me this word into Arabic? Whoso, what's that in Arabic? Whoso. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. Yeah, anybody can translate this to me? The word, one word in Arabic. Whoso.
من الذي.
Huh?
من الذي.
من ذا الذي. حنين. حنين.
Yes.
من ذا الذي. هي هاي أحلى. What do you think?
Yes, agree.
Yeah, really. من ذا الذي. Yeah, absolutely. So really, it's a nice expression here to say anybody who really wants, notice, anybody who is willing to be a man, who is a man, he must not be, notice, must not be conformist. Must not be conformist. That's what he must be, a nonconformist. Nonconformist. He would gather immortal palms, must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore if it be goodness. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Absolve you to yourself, and you shall have the suffrage of the world. I remember an answer which, when quite young, I was prompted to make to a valuable advisor who was wont to importune me with the dear old doctrine of the church, on my saying, what have I to do with the sacredness of traditions? If I live wholly from within, my friend suggested, but these impulses may be from below, not from above, I replied. They do not seem to me to be such, but if I am the devil's child, I will live then from the devil. No law can be sacred to me but that of my nature. Good and bad are but names, very readily transferable to that or this. The only right is what is after my constitution. The only wrong, what is against it. A man is to carry himself in the presence of all opposition as if everything there titular and ephemeral, but I am ashamed to think how easily we capitulate to badges and names, to large societies and dead institutions. He goes on and on and on. Really, he wants to say, we follow institutions and society without any thinking. And really, that's what he wants to say here. If you like, at the end of all this, he is saying all that. And he goes on, the question about, what we think about our whim and about our ideas, and so on. Notice here at the end, he said, expect me not to show cause why I seek or why I exclude company. Then again, do not tell me as a good man did today, of my obligation to put all poor men in good conditions or situations. Are they my poor? I tell thee, thou foolish philanthropist, that I grudge the dollar, the dime, the cent I give to such men as do not belong to me and to whom I do not belong. There is a class of persons to whom, by all spiritual affinity, I am bought and sold. For them I will go to prison, if need be. But your miscellaneous popular charities, the education at college of fools, the building of meeting houses, to the vain end to which many now stand, arms to sots, and the thousandfold relief societies. Though I confess with shame, I sometimes succumb and give the dollar. It is a wicked dollar, which by and by I shall have the manhood to withhold. Hasbi Allah alik. Do you know what he's saying here? Really, he's saying you should not give to charity. He said, don't give to charity. Why? Because he said, these people should work harder. I don't know. I mean, this is here. It's sometimes, as I said, sometimes you say, oh my God, is this really possible? Yeah. I really don't know. Sometimes I think sometimes this is possible that people, some people, I know myself, I know people who are poor because they don't work, because they are lazy. Yes. Wallahi, I know people like that. They are poor because they are lazy and they don't do anything. That's why they are poor. Yeah. Yes. And they want charity. They like charity because they are lazy. I know people like that. Really, that's what he's saying. He's saying, do your job, work hard, wherever you are, do your job. And you don't need charity. Therefore, you don't need charity. You don't need charity. Really, that's what he's saying. Virtues are, in the popular estimate, rather the exception than the rule. There is the man and his virtues. Men do what is called a good action, or some piece of courage or charity, much as they would pay a fine in expiation of daily non-appearance on parade. Their works are done as an apology or extenuation of their living in the world. The invalids and the insane pay a high board. My God. Mm. Their virtues are penances. I do not wish to expiate, but to live. My life is for itself and not for a spectacle. I much prefer that it should be of a lower strain, so it be genuine and equal, than that it should be glittering and unsteady. I wish it to be sound and sweet, and not to need diet and bleeding. I ask primary evidence that you are a man. Wow. Yeah, I want evidence. Show me how you are a man. You know, this is the idea. Show evidence. I ask primary evidence that you are a man, and refuse this appeal from the man to his actions. You notice, refuse this appeal from the man to his action. I know that for myself it makes no difference whether I do or forbear those actions which are reckoned excellent. I can't consent to pay for a privilege where I have the intrinsic right. Few and mean as my gifts may be, I actually am, and do not need for my own assurance or the assurance of my fellows any secondary testimony. I cannot consent to pay for a privilege where I have intrinsic right. So really you can see here when you think about it, a lot of philosophy and a lot of really unbelievable things. You see, how come he's saying all this? Sometimes it's, sometimes it's really contradictory. Sometimes you say, this is really too much to maybe to understand, or even to, to put maybe into practice, if you like, here in the real sense. What I must do is all that concerns me, not what the people think. Yeah, we say to people, do things and don't worry about others. Don't worry what people say. Don't worry what people say, because people will gossip. People will gossip. Don't ever listen to what people are going to say, because they will say a lot of things. And as we say here, it's all gossip and could be all lies. Don't ever listen to that. So that's what he's saying. Do what is good for you, he said. All concerns me. I must do all that concerns me, not what people think. This rule, equally arduous in actual and in intellectual life, may serve for the whole distinction between greatness and meanness. Look at this. He's saying, if you do this, then here, because if you know how to do it, then you will be a great person. You'll not be mean, he said. You'll be a great person, but not mean. Not mean. Meanness, he said. Notice. Do all that concerns me, not what the people think. And this will make the difference between greatness and meanness. It is the harder because, let me see. It is the harder because you will always find those who think They know what is your duty better than you know it. It is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. It's easy to in solitude to live after our own. But the great man is he who in the midst of the crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. Oh, yeah, I think this is again the idea. Don't think that you need to obey or imitate, he said, society or others. You see, so he said, it's easy to live in people's ideas and people's opinions. It's easy, but he said, it's easy to live on your own ideas. And when he's saying solitude, doesn't mean to be isolated. Means to use your own mind. And he goes on, he said, the great man is he who in the midst, you see, who is among the people, not in isolation. He's not saying we should isolate ourselves, no. He's saying, yes, you live in society, but use your mind always. Use your own intellect and your mind. And that's what he said. Who in the midst of the crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. He means to think on your own, not to copy people blindly. It means really to use your mind, to work hard. Yeah, I think this is a lovely, as you can see, a lovely passage. And here the next one, he goes on about the question of non-conformity. And I think this is, the last point. Maybe we can, maybe 5 minutes, and then I will stop. Notice, here he goes on about the question of non-conformity. Means do not follow society in a blind way. Why? We say, well, that's what my people said. Why? I don't know, but that's what they say. Well, he said, this is, of course, he said, that's wrong. Non-conformity. For non-conformity, the world whips you with its displeasure. And therefore, a man must know how to estimate a sour face. Yeah. Notice. Must know, he said, therefore a man must know how to estimate a sour face. Because he said, for non-conformity, the world whips you with its displeasures. If you don't follow society, society will maybe not give you its pleasures. And you say, I don't want these pleasures. I'm happy to be, he said, therefore a man must know how to estimate a sour face. Sour really here means a face or someone who is behaving, not enjoying what is supposed to be called the pleasures of society. The pleasures of society. I don't want these pleasures. That's what he's saying here. The bystanders look askance on him in the public street, on the friends' parlor. If this aversion had its origin in contempt and resistance like his own, he might well go home with a sad countenance. But the sour face, or the sour faces of the multitude, like their sweet faces, have no deep cause, but are put on and off as the wind blows, and a newspaper directs. Yet is the discontent of the multitude more formidable than that of the Senate and the college. It's easy enough for a firm man who knows the world, to brook the rage of the cultivated classes. Their rage is decorous and prudent, for they are timid as being very vulnerable themselves. But when to their feminine rage and indignation of the people is aided, when the ignorant and the poor are aroused, when the unintelligent, are aroused, maybe I lost the line. When the ignorant and the poor are aroused, when the unintelligent brute force that lies at the bottom of society is made to growl and mow. Mow? It needs the habit of magnanimity and religion to treat it godlike as a trifle of no concernment. Really, this is simple. Really simple. He's saying, don't follow society. If rituals and traditions and everything to do with all these things, if you don't follow them, if you don't accept them, that's what he's saying. If you don't believe them, if you don't like them, if you don't believe that they are good, don't follow them. That's what he's saying, really. Even he said, even if it's to do with, he said, societies, whatever he said. And look at the verbs he's using. Growl and mow. Really, he's using these words like comparing society to really maybe brute force and strange things. Well, I will stop here, boys and girls, and please, I want you now to do this. Let me stop the recording.